Bluetooth ready.
Pair.
Pair. Please start a search on your Bluetooth phone. Once the search is complete, select your vehicle on your phone. Thank you. Goodbye.
How's it going, my Saab friends? My name is Gary and this is my channel Weakest of Weeks. If you're a first-time viewer, I appreciate you clicking on the video and definitely consider subscribing. Years ago, I retrofitted in this facelifted 2008 9.3 factory SatNav radio. Along with that process, I ended up reusing the original VCIM, the Vehicle Communication Interface Module, better known as a communication module. But one thing that I always wanted to do was convert this car to a Bluetooth communication module. I ended up picking up this cheap communication module. We're going to slap it into this 08 9.3 that never had Bluetooth from the factory and see if it works. Go ahead and press my light up, 1 year only trunk switch. If you're interested in how to install that, use the links in the description. And don't mind the junk in my trunk, and I will spoil one thing that'll be coming up here in the future, but I ended up picking up some factory Turbo X or 9.3 cross-wheel drive carbon fiber looking door inserts. That'll be a future video, but today we are focused on this communication module, and this is the underside of it. Now, to really get after it, we got to go in the inside, put the seats down, and lift up that trim piece. But I'm hoping to test this thing, we can go ahead, get in here, undo some of these plugs, and simply plug in that other module and see if it works. Now, I know I'm going to get some questions as far as the location of this module in the other body styles of the 9.3. The convertible, it's located in what's called the torsion box, which is in the trunk behind that flap. As far as the sport combis or the 5 doors, it's under the luggage compartment floor near the subwoofer. And in this photo, it looks like it could be this module, but again, going to this awesome Saab diagram, it's more or less on the right side. So best I can tell you, it's somewhere in this general location. I ended up lowering the rear seats, and if you go up underneath here, you can kind of get a quick view of the underside of this communication module. Now, to properly remove it, you take out these 3 push pins, you can lift this up, sort of get access to it. There's, I believe, 4 bolts. There's 2 variations of this Bluetooth module. The particular one that I'm installing has what's called fakra connectors. That's that pinkish color connector. The second version has 2 of these style connectors, one being pink. The second one is an additional one being blue in color, presumably for GPS for OnStar. In the event you were in an accident, they can send first responders precisely to your location, but that is a paid service. So just note that there are 2 variations of this Bluetooth module, and I will put both part numbers in the description. So this is the one that I retrofitted years ago. That isn't the original tab, but it works. So that's why this one doesn't have the factory tab. But this just shows you that I'm still rocking what I did 4 years ago. Alright, so this is the only one unplugged on this particular communication module. Again, if you had the other version of it, you would have the provision to plug this one in. Before we really dive into this install, it's important to know there are many variations of this install depending on the year of your Saab 9.3 and what options it has. This video is for 2007 to 2012 9.3s with the updated GM interior. First point of mention is that Bluetooth was standard on all 2009 9.3s, regardless of radio style, navigation, or non-nav. So if you have a 2009, you probably just need to learn the procedure to pair your phone to your vehicle. Now, if your vehicle came factory with navigation, then in theory, you should just be able to plug in a Bluetooth VCIM and have it work without any further modifications. Only exception is if you want OnStar to fully work, then you need to marry the new module up to the vehicle via a Tech 2 scanner, but if you're only after Bluetooth, that extra step isn't necessary. If you have a non-navigation head unit and want to add factory Bluetooth, you must first add in a 2009 or later head unit due to software updates. Key being, if your car has the Bose system, which you can easily identify by looking at the dash speakers, then you need to put in a Bose radio 2009 or newer. With or without XM, doesn't matter. That is an external module and will work either way. But if you were to try and add in a regular radio into a car option with Bose, it will not marry correctly via the Tech 2. Now, along with that radio update, you have to take the K16 plug going into the radio and add pins 7 and 15, then run those wires all the way back to the VCIM and connect it to the J2 plug pins 1 and 2. Lastly, in my 2008, it originally had a Bose radio that was non-navigation. During the process of this nav retrofit, I tapped into 2 wires from the K14 plug going into the radio, pins number 4 and 5, and ran those wires all the way back to the VCIM in the back to the J3 plug pins 2 and 4. If you want to add Bluetooth to your retrofitted nav unit like I'm doing, then you have to add those 2 wires first, and I do have a specific video on that install. And once you have those 2 additional wires added, you can then continue on to the next portion of this video. So K16 is actually this plug right there. This one is K14. Dead giveaway is the red wire. But as far as adding Bluetooth to this car, what we have to do is bridge those wires. So we have to take pin 7 here and bridge it to number 4 on this K14 plug, and then pin 15 to pin number 5. And I simulated that with these 2 additional wires. I have them temporarily jump just to make sure that this process works. If it does, we'll go ahead and finalize it. But for the time being, let's go ahead and test this. OnStar.
Ready?
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth ready.
The key to making this work is going to be getting a spare one of these connectors. Whenever you get that VCIM, if you pull it from the junkyard, definitely pull the radio, get one of these connectors, or you may be able to find it online. So what we're going to do, pulled that white release tab up, and I'm going to be going for sort of a color match as best as possible. There's one of them. Now that we have the 2 additional wires from that radio pigtail from the junkyard, matching up the colors just to double check, make sure everything looks good and OEM as best as possible. Now I will say this plug is K14. I ended up removing the pins, the green number 4, gray number 5. Those I previously added whenever I retrofitted in the voice commands. I was trying to figure out my plan of attack, how to connect these 2 connectors together, and I ended up removing those out of connector K14, but it's totally not necessary. Focusing on this K16 plug, pull out the white tip of that connector, and then that lets you be able to seat in those pins as best as possible. So on this one, a little easier to identify in person. You can see the numbers up close, not going to be able to pick it up on the camera, but this green wire is going into pin number 7 of this K16 plug. Go ahead and push it in. You'll get a nice little click, and then once you put it in place, give it a nice little tug, make sure everything is seated. We're going to be adding this gray wire to this K16 plug, going in pin number 15, which is basically directly below this green wire we just added. So we're going to be sticking these back in at some point, but first I want to trace the wires up. I'm going to cut a slice, strip it back. We'll go ahead, solder these into place, and test it. There we go. Got a nice spot to cut. Solder it in. Re-tape everything, and it'll sort of ish look OEM. now that we're done with these, we can go ahead and put these pins back in place. The wires soldered up, shrink wrapped. Now we're going to add another layer of protection with some friction electrical tape. There you go, nice little H thing going on here. All right, good to plug everything back in. OnStar.
OnStar call. Ready?
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth ready.
Pair.
Pair. Please start a search on your Bluetooth phone. Once the search is complete, select your vehicle on your phone and then enter the code 5393. Again, the code is 5393. Please say the name tag you want associated with this phone.
Weakest of weeks.
About to store.
Weakest of weeks.
Does that sound okay? Please say yes or no.
Yes. Weakest of weeks.
Has been successfully paired. Returning to the Bluetooth settings menu. Bluetooth ready.
Well, I wonder if we can make a phone call.
Hello?
Hello, my love. Can you hear me?
Yeah?
Oh, I'm calling you from my Saab.
Oh,
Yeah, I just want to make a test call, see if this thing works.
fancy, fancy. It works. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly fine.
Call ended.
It works. Been a couple days. I temporarily zip tied up the new communication module to the old one before I finalized the install. I just wanted to make sure by not having this connector, I wasn't losing anything important. The GPS still works, so I can still use the navigation. OnStar sort of ish works. I don't have a subscription, so I can't fully test it, but it works enough to ask for OnStar to pair the Bluetooth of my phone. All right, tight squeeze in here for sure. So we got 3 push pins. You just kind of pull back. You can get a trim removal tool, but it's not really necessary. And you you can pull out this entire parcel shelf, but I suggest kind of just lifting it up and getting access to the bolts. And they're 10 mil, and there's going to be 4 of them to remove. There it is. Two different VCIMs, the original one that came with the car, and the Bluetooth one. Bluetooth VCIM is now bolted into place, ready to connect the connectors. If you're wondering as far as that unused blue connector, I have it back up in this section underneath the parcel shelf, and it's zip tied to an existing harness. That way it's not flapping around. The remaining wires are right there. I'm going to hook them up here in a sec, but I did want to mention, if you're working in a tight spot and you need a light, highly suggest something like this. It's magnetic, and actually it's very flexible. There's a couple different stages of brightness, and there's even a little light on the end. But this has been a world of help whenever I was working off camera trying to see inside this little area here. So if you're interested, use the link in the description. I got it off Amazon as a 2-pack, and I think they're reasonably priced. Time for the pièce de résistance is going to be this top HVAC vent that is a nightmare to get out sometimes. So now that we're good and happy, everything seems to be working perfectly fine with the Bluetooth. Good to put the vent back in. OnStar.
OnStar call. Ready?
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth ready.
Pair.
Pair. Please start a search on your Bluetooth phone. Once the search is complete, select your vehicle on your phone.
So that's going to wrap it up on today's video about how to add factory Bluetooth to your Saab 9.3. And before we depart here, a couple points to mention. The OnStar button is lighting up red. I did try to marry this via Tech 2, did not make a difference. So that's either lighting up red because I don't have that GPS connector hooked into the VCM, because it doesn't have that one on this particular version, or the simple fact that I do not pay for a subscription. But either way, it doesn't matter, because even with it unmarried, lighting up red, I can still hold in the steering wheel control. OnStar.
OnStar call. Ready? Thank you.
And then that's the menu that you go through to connect the Bluetooth. So whether that's married or not, whether you pay for the subscription or not, that's just kind of the process you have to go to sync your phone via Bluetooth on the 9.3s. Now, a second point to mention is the simple fact that I'm sure somebody's going to comment on it saying how, oh, well, your GPS clearly doesn't work because it's X'd out. Well, currently, sort of-ish, yes, because I am in my garage. I don't have GPS signal, but as soon as I back the vehicle out, I get GPS signal again. Now, if you remember, I do have a little magnet GPS guy on the top of this radio, so that's where I actually get the GPS signal from, because this is a retrofit. If I had to have one final comment, is it worth it to go through all the trouble to add factory Bluetooth to your Saab 9.3? The simple answer would be no. So there's so many different aftermarket variations that you can get. I have this version of a Bluetooth adapter. It's nice because it has USBs if you want to also charge your phone, but you simply just plug it into the cigarette lighter. It's pretty cool. It has a voltmeter on it. You set this to a certain radio station. You set your radio to a certain station, obviously hook your phone up via Bluetooth, and then you actually get hands-free calling along with music streaming. Some simple device like this, much more cost effective and so much simpler than going through the process of retrofitting, but I'm a little crazy and I like to retrofit some options that the car never had. So hope you found this video entertaining. Hopefully you found it helpful if this is the route that you want to go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment down below, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.